Rather than look at any one particular comic book this time, I want to look at the collective output of the small publisher Oily Comics. Oily Comics was started in 2012 by cartoonist Charles Forsman. Oily Comics did a couple things that really appealed to me at the time and felt new to me. One is that they were mostly sold via subscription, and so rather than subscribing to any one title or artist, your subscription would mean that every month you would get this curated packet of the full slate of mini comics that Oily was producing, which was a really exciting event. I was always really excited to receive an envelope from Oily and not know what was going to be inside. And that's how I discovered for the first time a lot of new artists. So another thing that really excited me about these comics at the time is the format. And you can see that these are like prototypical mini comics, right? They're a quarter of a sheet of paper size. They're black and white photocopies, folded, stapled. They mostly have 8 internal pages plus a cover, right? So that's a very simple format, and it's the sort of comic that anyone can make. This is what a lot of people's first mini comics are like. And so why was that exciting to me? I think to explain that, you have to indulge me a bit in my recollection of the comics publishing landscape at the time. And my knowledge of that landscape is neither comprehensive nor particularly correct. This is more just about my perception as a reader of comics. So in 2012, we were really seeing this graphic novel boom take hold, and a lot of young and exciting artists were working on graphic novels. They were working on their big books. Some of them were going straight to graphic novels rather than doing shorter work or mini comics. And even in the small press mini comic scene, I feel like there was a trend towards more ornate work, more focus on the package, making a pretty package. And I know that sounds kind of judgmental, but I don't really mean it to be. I like a lot of that stuff. I'm just talking about where my head was at, what I was seeing when these books started coming out. It felt to me like there was a widespread raising of the stakes, like every book that came out was a big book and had a lot riding on it. And so this isn't meant as a slam at the graphic novels of 2012, but there was a lot coming out, and I had been trying to keep on top of it all. I'd been trying to read everything new and interesting that came out, and I started to burn out on it, and a lot of the work did end up kind of leaving me cold at that point. So when I laid eyes on a stack of Oily comics that were, done in this cheap, quick format, just felt like a sort of electric reconnection for me with the possibility of mini comics, and I was completely on board. So that's kind of my spiel about the publisher, Oily Comics, and why I was so excited when they started coming out. But I do want to kind of blaze through these, show them off. I don't have a lot to say about each one, and there are so many that I couldn't, but let's check them out. So I don't have a complete collection of Oily Comics. I started my subscription late, so the bulk of the books that I have are from 2013. These are the final 2 issues of The End of the Fucking World by Charles Forsman, which was later collected by Fantagraphics and also made into a TV show for Netflix. I love this back cover. Here's another series by Charles Forsman. There are 6 issues of Teen Creeps. So you can see, first of all, that even though most of the books are this simple black and white mini comic format, some of them they did add a second color or a color cover, that kind of thing. For the most part, though, they still kept them pretty simple. And these just look so fantastic. Like, it was so great to get this sort of thing in the mail every month. Like, who knows what you would see in that envelope, but these are really cool looking books. I have 3 issues of a comic called Noise by Billy Burkert. Another really good looking book. This is Lou by Melissa Mendez, and I have a bunch of these. This was a favorite of mine. I really liked reading. It was a story about this family and a group of kids, and there's a lot of There was an element of danger, but there was also a lot of sweet, poignant moments. I always liked reading the little notes from the author at the back. Also, there was this special where they actually have a second color throughout the book. Really great. And to see some of the variety that Oily published, this is a series called Outside, with words by Mark Geddes and drawings by Warren Craghead. And while those other books that I showed before were pretty much narratives with groups of characters, this is really just a visual poem about surfing. So you really never knew what you were going to get. But I guess I had confidence that, it was a curated bunch of stuff, and no matter what it was always going to be interesting. A couple comics by Jessica Campbell, which I really like. Rave and Mrs. Connie Dutton. This one is sort of a fantasy look at someone who goes and tracks down the missing funds in a Nigerian spam email scam. I have 3 issues of Dumpling King by Alex Kim. And look at that cool spread of cover images and the interesting design on them. I have 3 issues of Cutaway Comics by Dan Zetwalk. And this is actually an adaptation of a historical story about John James Audubon and his interest in chimney swallows. It includes some of that signature cross-section work that Zetwalk is so well known for. And that's actually kind of another thing that I liked about these books at the time, is that, Dan Zetwalk was a totally known quantity to me. I'd been reading his comics for over 10 years, but there were plenty of artists who were totally new to me, and I just imagine it was kind of a confidence booster to a young artist to be able to produce work so regularly and have it sent out by Oily Comics. A couple of issues of Blood Visions by Zach Wharton. Bunch of Word and Voice by Aaron Cockle. These I remember having some pretty interesting experimental layouts and uses of language. Missy, which is a comic that's a young girl's diary. Training by Josh Simmons. I don't know if there were more issues of this. It does seem like the beginning of a story, but this was the only issue that I could find. Elizabeth of Canada by Michael DeForge, who is always amazing. It says to be continued. I don't know how many of these there were either. Pair of books, Goblins and Gnomes by Sam Gaskin. These are a lot of one-page strips with cool title lettering at the top. Really heavy line work. Real Rap. There's a few issues of this. I'm pretty sure I have some more somewhere, but I always really looked forward to this one. It was really funny and has this really unique art style. They all feature Dustudge, who's this character. The Intern and the Virgin by Slongo. Tiger Man. These have this really strong graphic style, which was memorable and really cool to see. Oxen Co. This has kind of a old-timey flavor to it. I just love the variety that would come. You would get an envelope with like 6 comics and they would all look totally different. Not a Horse Girl, which I think this is Autobio, but I could be wrong. The Buddies by Anna Haifisch. This is a very appealing art to me. I love the last page here. Here's something else they did is interviews in these little zines. So here's an interview with Joe Derry by Melissa Mendez, and an interview with Michel Fife by Sean Ford in blue. I also have a few books that Oily did outside of their standard quarter-page size format, and I don't remember if these were things that you had to pay extra for, or if they were bonuses with your subscription or what. But anyway, they published Bastard by Max de Rodriguez, Charles Forsman book Love Sucker. This one just has great design, really interesting spreads, and a second color. And this book by Noah Van Sciver, The Lizard Laughed. The story of an estranged father and son. And then they also sometimes included these, not zoomed out enough, but prints, I guess maybe risograph prints. Here's one of Teen Creeps by Charles Forsman. And then I have a real wrap print, which, wow, pretty cool. So that was a real superficial blitz through this pile of wonderful mini comics, but I mainly wanted to show off the breadth of what Oily was publishing. And this is all in a very short span of time. Like, I think all of these books are from 2013. Yeah, and you can just imagine how exciting and inspiring it was to get a bundle of this stuff in the mail every month. So they're definitely comics that I love. And if you like this video, be sure to let me know. Or if you think I've said a bunch of stuff that's stupid and wrong, you can let me know that too. Although, be cool about it. All right, see you next time. Bye.